One of the most interesting aspects of the Fallout universe are the random encounters that the player can stumble upon while exploring the world. These random encounters go all the way back to Fallout 1. And just like with the earlier Fallouts, Fallout 76 has plenty of interesting random encounters. Now, there were random encounters in Appalachia before the Wastelanders DLC, but since before Wastelanders there were no NPCs alive, the random encounters added to Fallout 76 with Wastelanders are way more interesting, and we get a bunch of them. With this video, I'm going to show off all the random encounters that I stumbled upon while doing my series on the story of Fallout 76 Wastelanders. This is by no means all of them, and there may even be a few in here that were in the game before Wastelanders. But here's my collection so far. The first category is what I'll call Survivor Stories, where we find a bunch of Wastelanders who have returned to Appalachia going about their business. We can find a scavenger standing atop a rock holding binoculars, surveying the landscape.
Well, look at that. I've never seen that type of bird before. If you need some ammunition, I can help.
Now, as it's a multiplayer game, I won't be able to quick save before making a choice to then reload and explore all options here. We could pass a strength check of 8 to intimidate her into giving us more ammo, but I was playing a good character. I didn't really need the ammo, and so I very boringly chose to say, "You can keep it. My supply is well stocked."
All right, take care.
As she walks off. This next one should be familiar to anyone who played Fallout 4. We have a chance to find a scavenger by a box safe.
Stay away. This is mine. I found it first.
It's locked with a skill level 3 lock, and I remember the scavengers would turn hostile when we tried to pick the safes in Fallout 4, and I didn't want to have to kill her, so I just walked off. We can find a guy digging in the earth.
If you don't look close enough, you'll miss what you're looking for. Seems like you need a little help.
And he offers to give us help. We can choose between a stim pack, some Radaway, or Rad-X, but I believe he has the same response no matter what we choose.
Can't disagree with you there, but it's no problem. Be safe.
And he gives us 1 chem. We can find a scavenger panning for gold.
It's just about time to eat. I got here first. You can go find some other spot. I'm gonna strike it big, baby. Didn't you hear? People are saying there's gold everywhere.
He has a tent nearby, but the only valuable we can take is a bottle of Nuka-Cola Orange. We can find a settler engineer.
Little dark to be out on your own, isn't it? Oh, it's nice and comfortable out here tonight, huh? Well, the fog just rolled in, so that should keep it cool, too.
As long as you've got something to help stay warm, you should sleep well tonight.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And being well-rested makes a hell of a difference.
You know what else comes in with the fog, right? Cryptids.
You noticed? Well, when it's hard to see what's out there, you can expect some unwanted company.
Comfortable folks are less distracted. That makes it hard to sneak into their camps.
Yeah, you're right about that. After dusk, folks are cautious about every little sound they hear. Better off raiding during the day sometimes.
But no matter what we choose, he just walks off. I then stumbled upon a conversation between 2 lovers. I didn't want to interrupt it, so I stayed back for a bit.
50 years. Can you believe it? The years really went by living in the vault. I'm just glad I got to spend them with you.
I know. It's hard to believe. Feels like just yesterday we were playing in the marching band. You know I got butterflies every time you passed my rowing class. I'd wait to go piss, because I was too nervous to pass you on the way to the bathroom.
Oh, Dino, you're too good to me. You always were a sweetie. No wonder I couldn't help but fall in love with you.
Can you imagine if I'd gone into the vault with my family, and we'd been apart all these years?
You know what, though? Now we can do whatever we want, together out here. Happy anniversary.
And there they sit, celebrating their post-apocalyptic anniversary.
Tonight's our anniversary. She's as beautiful as the day we first met.
Back in the vault, Dino was the best-looking guy around. There weren't many of us in there, you know.
I'm not the man I once was, but Carla loves me all the same.
Dino's a good man, but sometimes it's nice to spice things up.
It's a humble enough setting, but I think a romantic dinner is still manageable.
You can't teach an old dog new tricks. You, on the other hand, youthful and limber, don't have back problems, do you?
You're kinda killing the mood. You know that?
Tonight's our 50th anniversary. Some of our best years were spent in the vault together.
Can't you see we're a little busy? It's a special occasion, so unless you're gonna play busboy, beat it.
I met Dino in high school. We both played in the marching band. He was cuter back then, but he still has a warm heart.
50 years. Can you believe it? Damn, I'm a lucky guy.
Well, don't you look cute?
Yikes. Okay, that started out sweet until she straight up started flirting with us. Here Dino is trying to treat her to a big anniversary, and all she can do is talk about how he's not the man he used to be. How he used to be the best looking guy in the vault, and my, don't you look limber, and my, aren't you cute, stranger? But they were vault dwellers. From which vault? Again, couldn't be 51, couldn't be 94, maybe 76? But 76 only housed the best and brightest. I wonder if we'll ever learn what vault they came from. We can find another one, reminiscent of both Fallout 4 and Fallout 3, a settler hinterlander begging for water.
Please, do you have any spare water?
Well, I happen to have some clean water.
Thank you.
And if we give her clean water, we gain positive Foundation reputation.
It's great to see people back in Appalachia. Ah, it's nice when others are kind. If you need some help, just ask a friend.
Then one day, we find a scavenger walking down the road.
I don't like the fog. Even just a mist makes it harder to see. Hey there, I'm trying to get a cool memento for my daughter, but my camera ran out of film. Mind taking my picture?
Oh, of course.
Great. Let me know when you're ready so we can get the perfect shot.
But first we gotta tell him we're ready.
Make sure I'm in focus. Are you ready? Cheese!
With that, he smiles for the camera. Oh, that's a good all-body pic, but you know what? I'm gonna zoom in on that face here. But turn on the light first. Oh, there we go. There's those pearly whites. Oh, his daughter's gonna love this.
Did you get the shot? How did I look?
We find a number of options, including an option to start over again. But in this case, we'll just say that he looked amazing.
Wow! This will be great for my daughter.
And with that, he walks off.
Thanks for taking my photo.
Presumably, we give him a copy of the photo, and of course, we get to keep a copy for ourselves. Now, I stumbled upon a conversation between a soldier and a scientist, but sadly I wasn't recording when I overheard their initial conversation, and when I found this encounter again in the future, they didn't restart that initial conversation. So all I could do was talk with them.
Introducing a little structure into your life goes a long way.
Oh, great. Rain. Just what I needed before I start messing with some electrical wiring.
Crater. That ragtag lot's a damn soup sandwich.
I've been known to fix a thing or two.
At 5 o'clock, I'm smoking and joking.
When it comes to tinkering, the lieutenant doesn't have much patience. That's what I'm for.
I take things apart and he puts it back together.
The lieutenant's a morning dove, and I'm a night owl. So much for birds of a feather flock together.
The techie's a good piece of gear. Keeps everything running around here.
He's got me repairing bombs. And then she goes and blows them up.
Great to have him around, but he could use a little more structure.
Damn rain is gonna cause our equipment to jam. And you know who's gonna be fixing that.
I give the orders around here.
I prefer working at night. Sure, it can be a pain to get the lighting right, but the peace and quiet makes a big difference.
Testing ballistic capabilities.
This one's really interesting because here we find another group of presumably pre-war military soldiers who came back to Appalachia besides Taggarty's Thunder and Captain Oliver Field's small unit consisting of Radcliffe and Thompson. So from this, I suppose, we learned that there are lots of soldiers who, without structure and a command hierarchy, are just sort of wandering around, some of whom are still acting as soldiers, instead of just turning into mercenaries or wastelanders. I'm guessing this scientist was a military scientist, or perhaps this is a bit of foreshadowing. After all, we know that the Enclave was comprised of soldiers and scientists. Could this be foreshadowing that Modus or some other Enclave entity is going to gather together the remnants of America's pre-war military here in Appalachia to reform the Enclave? So many questions. When I do a follow-up video in the future, I'll try to get that encounter on another character. Then there is the Wandering Storyteller.
Some folks say I'm crazy, think I've used too many chems. Can't blame them. Seeing is believing.
Oh, let's hear it. I love a good scary story.
My friend, this ain't no story. You see, one night, a fella of mine was trying my last nerve. Saw a shooting star, so I wished he'd go away. Oh boy, did he ever. You see, after that, well, what I saw that night, it changed my life forever.
And your buddy, did you ever see him again?
Aye, he turned up soon enough. Not before this thing had its way with him, though. Never was the same again. The thing, it didn't walk, but hovered with glowing purple eyes. I didn't get a good look because it got him and vanished, but I know what I saw. I thought he was gone for good, but no, he lived. I mean, few folks survive an encounter with the Flatwoods monster. That's what I think it was anyways. An interdimensional being from beyond the void. Its mere presence can warp the mind of all but the most iron-willed. Anyways, finally found him cold and naked. Couldn't remember a thing, just ranting and raving about a flash of bright light.
I might not sleep tonight. That's a great tale to spook your pals around a campfire.
Terrifying indeed, but it ain't just a story. Maybe one day you too will believe. Nothing interesting so far tonight. Maybe we'll get lucky.
If this story is true, then it provides us with a possible motive for the existence of the Flatwoods monster. They are not just here on Earth to attack people at random, as it would seem. They're actually here to abduct people and bring them back to Mothership Zeta. It's likely a Flatwoods monster that originally kidnapped Sally. Though I suppose they could have used the tractor beam, like they do with the Lone Wanderer, hundreds of years later, in which case I wonder why they would bother putting troops on the ground if they could just use a tractor beam. But this is one plausible motive for the Flatwoods monster to be here. Now you'd think this would be a good opportunity for the Flatwoods monster to appear, but no, all we see is the Wandering Storyteller's pet dogs. However, we can stumble upon him again, and if we do, he tells a different story.
If you've got the time, I've got a tale.
I've seen a thing or two myself. Let me hear what you got.
Well, buddy, you ain't heard nothing like what I'm about to tell you. For a while here in Appalachia, rumors spread of a creature. Part man, part goat. Many thought it to be a thief using a disguise to hide his identity. Hell, at the time, that's what I thought. So when I saw the upright figure of a goat bathed in moonlight, I figured the thief was coming my way.
You weren't going to let the thief walk into your camp, were you?
That wasn't my plan, but plans change. As the figure approached, it became clear this was no man but a beast. Some sick perversion of God's creation. As it entered my camp, I scurried off into the night, with the intoxicating scent of old urine following in my wake. The beast's, that is, not mine. How could such a vile creation exist? The product of fornication, carried out far from the eyes of God. Truly an unholy creation. Or perhaps radiation is to blame, causing an ordinary farm animal to warp and distort into a living nightmare. What do you think?
Fornication, radiation, such great choices here. Or we can say radiation seems more likely than your other idea.
Yeah, you're probably right. At the very least, you would expect the conception to occur within the vicinity of toxic waste. Not much happening tonight. Things can always change, though. Sure is quiet tonight. Too quiet, if you ask me.
And again, no attack from a sheep squatch. A little disappointed at that, but still, great story. Can't wait to meet him again. We can then stumble upon a couple of scavengers having an ethical dilemma.
I keep on telling you, and you don't listen. We can't go there.
What's the better option?
I've told you 1,000,000 times. We are better off joining the settlers.
Foundation? We're safer with the raiders.
Are you crazy? Have you seen what those people have done?
At least they can protect themselves, unlike those damn settlers.
Ooh, contention. Maybe we can help them make up their minds.
Oh, you're up late. Where should we go?
We find 3 options, but since I stumbled upon these guys with my Foundation character, I opted to say, you should consider Foundation.
That's what I said. But she refuses to go.
The settlers are growing stronger and will rebuild Appalachia.
I knew that was the right decision. We'll head there now.
And with that, we gain Foundation reputation. And it appears the other scavenger follows the goggles guy off to Foundation.
You need something? What are you doing up this late? Go get some shut-eye.
We can stumble upon a wayward Miss Nanny.
Où êtes-vous, les enfants? Oh, hello there. I have not seen mes enfants in quite some time, and story time is long overdue. Won't you stay and listen to a story, so I may finally continue my other tasks? Hello? Where are you? Don't be afraid. Yes, dearie? Alright, here we go. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Jacques who lived with his mother on a small farm in the country. They were very poor and could barely afford to eat. So, Jacques' mother sent him to town to sell their only milk cow. On the way to town, Jacques was stopped by an old man who offered to buy the milk cow in exchange for 3 magical beans. What he should have done was traded the cow for one of the many handy robots from General Atomics International to take care of him and his mother. However, they did not exist in this story. So he traded for the beans instead and went home to his mother. Upon Jacques' return, his mother was furious. "We can't feed ourselves with 3 measly beans," she cried, and she threw them out the window. When Jacques got up the next morning for his morning chores, he noticed that a gigantic beanstalk had grown out of the ground where the beans had landed. The stalk stretched into the sky, so Jacques decided to start climbing. He climbed and he climbed until he found a magnificent and huge castle in the clouds. Jacques snuck inside and saw a cache of glittering treasures. Jacques stole a bag of gold coins and brought them back down the beanstalk. Then he returned to steal a goose that laid golden eggs. Jacques returned a 3rd time to steal a beautiful golden harp that played by itself. But this time, a giant returned home and noticed something wrong. "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread," the giant bellowed. Jacques ran away with the harp, and the giant chased him down the beanstalk. But Jacques was much faster. When he reached the bottom, he grabbed an axe and chopped down the beanstalk. The giant fell to his death. That doesn't sound like a story we should learn any morals from. Theft and murder are not good for children. Oh well, c'est ce que c'est.
And If we listen to the entire story, we get rewarded with a handy stash of consumables. I've bumped into this Miss Nanny a couple of times, and each time it's a different story. Now, of course, the wandering storyteller wasn't completely full of crap, for indeed we can stumble upon cryptids. These cryptids share many of the spawn points of the other random encounters, so while hunting for random encounters, we often stumble upon a cryptid. In one instance, I killed a Mothman who was stalking an abandoned camper's site. On a radio by the tent, we find camper's note number 1, out hunting, back tomorrow. Part of me feels like this is the first step in a much longer series of camper's notes that we can find, when, if strung together, make up a larger story. However, after many weeks of hunting random encounters, this is the only camper's note that I've found. But I have stumbled upon quite a few cryptids. Interesting that I've really only found Flatwoods monsters and Mothmen. I don't know if it's because the random encounter spawn points I was farming were just in specific areas, or if other monsters like the Grafton monster and the Snallygaster are more common and therefore not part of the random encounter. But, in addition to cryptids, we can stumble upon packs of other creatures in these random encounters. Packs of floaters. Packs of glowing wolves. And I find the glowing wolves one quite often, at least while exploring the Savage Divide. Packs of wandering super mutants, sometimes in the woods, sometimes patrolling the roads. Packs of feral ghouls. Packs of liberators, and lots of other creatures. Most of these are the same, just a bunch of monsters that attack, but on one occasion I did overhear a unique monster conversation that we can't hear anywhere else.
Look at that smile. I think it like you. I know it ugly, but it friend. It follow us here, but no attack. It need friend. What it say? I think it want to play. Or hungry. Maybe play with food like human?
And that's about as close as we get to lore that explains the emergence of the floaters here in Appalachia 26 years after the apocalypse. We can also stumble upon what I'll call Peril encounters. Wastelanders roaming the world who are in mortal peril.
I hope we can set up more settlements like Foundation. Yeah, I've got some friends out there that didn't want to come with me. I need to get out of here. You should too, stranger.
Sounds like you're having trouble.
You hear them? Out there doing who knows what? Super mutants. I don't want no trouble. Oh no, they're here. Super mutants are here!
And with that, the super mutants attack.
Oh, thank you. I thought all my pack Brahmin were goners.
We can pass a number of skill checks, but instead of trying to pressure this guy for more loot, I chose to say, just doing my civic responsibility. Super mutants are a menace to us all.
Aye, they are, and Appalachia is a little safer now thanks to you. Take this, please. I owe you.
And with that, we gain Foundation reputation. And we can find some settlers already under attack.
Lucky. Those things are a real pain. We appreciate the help. Things were taking a turn for the worse till you showed up.
If we intervene, we get more reputation. I found another settler guard escorting some Brahmin across a railroad track.
Need to keep moving, friend, and I reckon you do too.
This allows us to try the other speech option. Where are you headed to in such a hurry?
Shh, keep it down. There are super mutants nearby. Wait, what was that? Oh, it's the super mutants!
And again, it was an attack by super mutants.
Oh, thank you. I thought all my pack Brahmin were goners.
This time we can pass a perception check to say those Brahmin packs are pretty heavy. I'm thinking you can offer me some real gratitude.
Oh, nothing gets by you. Got some fresh meat, barely irradiated at all. You're welcome to some of it.
Ooh, when can we eat? I'm starving.
Here you go. Hope you enjoy. I'll make sure folks hear about you.
And with that, we get some Mirelurk jerky and some steeped gourd blossom tea. And we also get some reputation. Similarly, we can stumble upon a Mr. Herder herding some Brahmin down the road.
I say you should keep moving, human. These roads aren't as safe as they used to be.
And almost as if on cue, we get attacked by a legendary toxic sheep squatch. But if we return to the Mr. Herder, he has nothing more to say. No reward, no thank you. He travels on his way escorting Mindy, Molly, and Matilda. But it's not just settlers. We can stumble upon raiders who are under attack.
You're looking a little rough. You all right?
In this case, the fellow offered me chems, like the other guy we met earlier.
I can't disagree with you there, but it's no problem. You're safe. I heard if they send you out a crater, it means you're disposable. That ain't true, is it?
Then I stumbled upon a really weird one that I still don't understand. We see a hunter, just sort of walking around in camouflage. Creeping up to him for a chat.
I saw a radstag in the area. Keep an eye out.
Oh, so he's hunting a red stag. I followed him for quite some time.
Perfect day to sneak up and catch yourself a radstag.
We went over a hill, into a clearing, but then he stopped. He just stayed here, overlooking this gully, waiting for a radstag who never came. I waited long enough to kill a Yaogwai who was patrolling nearby, but I don't think this Yaogwai was part of the random encounter. The radstag never came, and this hunter never left. Then there is a collection of random encounters that I'll call crime scenes. The people involved are already dead. We just piece together how they died. Sometimes it's obvious. In this case, I'm killing a bunch of legendary attack dogs. And when we get close to the scene, we find dead blood eagles. The story tells itself. These blood eagles attack dogs, for some reason, turned on their owners, killing the blood eagles. We can find a Yaogwai attacking a small campsite. With the Yaogwai dead, we can go down to loot the scene, and we find the tent's owner. Sad. This is one I found a couple of different times, and always with the same result. We can stumble upon a deadly picnic. We find tables and chairs littered around. There's a basketball hoop above a garbage can that these guys were chucking beer bottles at, but the participants in this deadly picnic are all dead. Frustratingly, we don't find any evidence that can tell us how they died. Then there are the rebel robots. And these were standing over the body of a settler mechanic. They must have suffered a glitch in the software, and somehow they turned on their programmer. Then we can find a campsite being ravaged by wolves. And the wolves left no survivors. We can find a campsite being actively looted by Mothman cultists.
Forever in the light.
With the cultists dead, we can examine the campsite, and we find that the cultists have piled bodies of settlers and their Brahmin in a pile by the campfire. And next to a tent, we find cultists scrawling number 2. Without all he has provided, where would we be? Just today, with his whispering and beckoning, we came across this camp, another gift from the woods, deepening our gratitude and solidifying our bond. A great feast is in order. With diligence and zeal, let us go about our preparations for his arrival. Then there are what I'm calling ghost stories, tales from people who have long since died. We have a chance of stumbling upon a circle of mannequins with a single ghoul standing in the middle of them. And a tick. Heading towards the circle of mannequins, we see that they're not alone. At the base of each mannequin is something, a flower in a vase. And then near to where we killed the ghoul, we find a footlocker with a bunch of personal effects inside and a note, "Remember them." This is where I last saw them, standing here saying goodbye. We knew it was the end of everything. "Go on without me. I need to stop by the house and get my gun," I told them. "I'll meet you at the vault." Those were my last words to them. I hope they made it. I don't even remember their faces anymore. But I remember that they stood here with me, and I remember our last words together. We just killed the ghoul of a person who was supposed to find shelter in a vault. But which vault? We know it can't be Vault 94, as that was a pacifist vault, and the last thing he wrote was that he went back into the house to get his gun. He must not have made it back to the vault in time. He couldn't get in, and so he used these mannequins to erect monuments to his family that he missed, whereas he stayed here and slowly turned into a ghoul due to the radiation. We can stumble upon a suit of Raider power armor. Cool. Oh no. Doggone Raiders! Booby trapping the power armor. We can snag a fusion core and loot a couple of containers nearby. And a stone's throw away, we find a Raider corpse. And on his body, the dead Raider's note. If you're reading this, I'm dead. If you're reading this, so are you. Never forget the Raider code, the one to live and die by. Every man for himself. Okay, so did he set up the booby trap? But then why is he dead? Did he know it was booby-trapped and wrote this note to tell us about it, but then died to the booby trap anyway? I guess I don't understand. We have a high chance of finding a random encounter simply by following the roads. If we do, we can stumble upon the corpse of Willie. He's wearing tails and a top hat, and on his body is the golden holotape.
Greetings to you, the lucky finder of this golden holotape. That fresh golden glaze comes courtesy of the delicious box of Blamco mac and cheese you just opened. I'm Dick Shale. You may recognize me from contests like the Pulowski Preservation Shelter Squat and the Red Rocket Gasathon. If you're hearing this, it means you won a free Extreme Adventure Tour upgrade at the world-famous Uncanny Caverns. Base ticket price not included. Be at the front gates at 10 a.m. on October 1st, and don't be late. In your wildest dreams, you could not imagine the uncanny surprises that await you. And as the official Uncanny Caverns tour guide, assuming the check clears, I'll see you there too. This is Dick Shale, signing off.
And it's everyone's favorite Dick Shale. who indeed made an appearance at the Uncanny Caverns. You can learn more about the Uncanny Caverns by clicking here, where we learn exactly how extreme that extreme adventure tour was, or wasn't. So October 1st is before the bombs dropped on the 27th of that same month. Perhaps this Willie character just kept the holotape on him as a memento after going on the extreme adventure at Uncanny Caverns. Then, while exploring the woods, we can stumble upon the corpse of a trick-or-treater. He's in a vampire costume, he's holding cotton candy bites, and on his inventory we find Appalachia Landmarks Pumpkin House.
Hey there, traveler. Dick Shale here. Welcome to Appalachia. Did you know that Autumn Fest takes place the last weekend in October? One of Appalachia's most famous tourist attractions is the Pumpkin House. In 1978, the Pumpkin House began with only 4 pumpkins carved for a Halloween display. Since then, the number of hand-carved pumpkins has grown to 300. Does a house with 300 hand-carved pumpkins attract attention? You betcha! Be sure to take the kiddos and check out all those pumpkins.
But what? Why is this guy still dressed up for Halloween? The bombs dropped 26 years ago by now. His corpse is what, maybe a week old? I might be able to get it if it was a skeleton, but this is a still rotting corpse. We've been to the Pumpkin House in my live streams, but I have yet to do a lore video on the place. Maybe someday. Then, we stumble upon a campsite, and piled on the ground before the tent are 4 bodies. The bodies of cultists. And scattered around them are fancy glasses. 4 fancy glasses. Unique to this encounter. At least I haven't been able to find them anywhere else. We can loot them, and we can even put them on display in our display cabinets. Then, on the ground next to the tent, we find The Cultist's Final Plea 2. Touch your lips upon the cup and let us tilt our heads in a spectacle of complete devotion. The devout whose faith never trembled will surely be rewarded. Rejoice, for the hour of salvation is nearly upon us. It looks like we've stumbled upon a ritual suicide. Inside the tent, we find more dead cultists and more fancy glasses, and also a capstash. It's like the whole People's Temple of Jonestown, or Heaven's Gate. I think we can definitively say at this point that the Mothman cultists are a death cult. I found this same random encounter a couple of different times on the same character with the exact same suicide note. I thought I had stumbled upon it a 3rd time, but no, this was different. Here we find the corpse of Bully. This bully has a baseball bat at his feet. He's wearing a leather jacket, and next to him is another bully with a knife wearing a letterman's jacket. On the ground in the corner is the bully's note. Jimmy has lost his damn mind. He thinks those nerds were scared of him back in high school. He thinks he's some kind of hotshot, but couldn't get a kid's lunch money to save his life. That loser would still be practicing trombone and reading British literature if I didn't show him how easy it was to get Sylvia to do his homework for him. It was pretty funny watching her try to find her glasses on the floor when I threw them across the gymnasium. Well, enough's enough. Tonight I'm going to have a little fun and put this asshole in his place. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. So here we find the aftermath of a battle between 2 former high school bullies, one in a leather jacket and a baseball bat, and one in a letterman's jacket and a switchblade. Apparently, this conflict started because one bully taught the other bully everything he knew and felt that that bully didn't appreciate him enough, or something. And he held this grudge for 26 years after the apocalypse. Okay, I suppose there are less believable stories. And then, while wandering the roads, we can stumble upon a pipe. Out of the pipe pours a thick white mist. And lying on the ground next to the pipe is a corpse, holding a note. Pipe. Pipe is life. We can sniff the unusual pipe. Whoa! Oh, what is that now? Oh, that's a spooky sound. What is going on? But then eventually, the psychedelic colors fade, and the howling fades into the background. I had the fortune of stumbling upon this random encounter right next to Haven Church. The organ music coming from the church made it even more eerie. This random encounter is so perplexing, I've had a number of people reach out to me on Twitter, asking for some lore explanation, but I have none. I mean, I suppose the pipe might connect to some fallout shelter buried underground beneath a road, I guess. And perhaps the mist is some sort of toxic vapor emanating from a toxic material storage facility underground. I'm just grasping at straws here. Whatever this mist was, it was addicting. This guy clearly came back for seconds. After all, the pipe was his life. And lastly, we can stumble upon a number of merchants. Merchants now can come to our camps post-Wastelanders, which is nice, but we can also find them at random encounter hotspots. Most of them are scavengers and sell a bit of junk and tat, though they all share the exact same face. Sometimes we come upon a chem merchant who sells a variety of chem recipes.
If you need your fix, I'm the guy.
My fix?
If you're feeling a little down, I'll help you back up.
I might be feeling a little down right now.
Well then, let's make a deal.
You can find that stuff everywhere.
What I got is better. You ever hear about that Mothman? You think people are actually seeing that shit?
Or we can pass a strength check of 8 to say if you don't give up some chems, you won't ever be getting back up.
Okay. I'm just trying to make a living out here.
But if we choose that option, we can no longer use her as a merchant.
Hey, screw off. You're getting in the way of potential customers.
And that is part 1 of Fallout 76 Wastelanders Random Encounters. I hope to put together many more compilations of random encounters like I did for Fallout 4. So if you don't want to miss those videos, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. If you already have, but you still feel like you're missing out on YouTube notifications, consider following me on Twitter at Oxhorn. I update Twitter manually with every piece of content that I publish. I've got a shirt shop with completely unique designs that you can't find anywhere else. My designs come on shirts in a variety of men's, women's, and children's sizes, and in a wide array of colors. You can find them on other products as well, like smartphone cases, pillows, posters, mugs, stickers, prints, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below, or you can click here. If you like what I do, and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming a patron on Patreon or a member here on YouTube. YouTube members and patrons on Patreon are becoming increasingly important as YouTube continues to make platform changes that make the future of YouTube monetization uncertain. So to all of my patrons on Patreon and my members on YouTube, you have my sincerest thanks. I couldn't do this without you. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with more brand new videos.
This place has all you could ever want at fair market value.